Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about the challenge season 39, episode 16, titled Family Knows Best. Last week on the challenge, Raven was purged from the game for coming in last in the daily, which saw Ed coming out on top and setting off a schoolyard pick that left Horacio, Kyland, and Zara in a secret elimination, which left Zaza saying tata. Before I dive in, if you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. Also, I put a link in the subject so you can watch my previous recaps. So let's get into it. After the elimination, Kyland and Horacio like that nobody else will know what the elimination is. Kyland wants to prank everyone by coming back alone and pretending Horacio was eliminated. Kyland acts emotional, acting like Horacio sacrificed himself. Olivia gets emotional about Horacio's fake elimination. She's beside herself, feeling like Horacio sacrificed himself for her, and she commits to being loyal to him. Kyland admits he didn't expect this prank to go this way. Then Horacio comes back and Nerys tells Horacio in Spanish that everyone was excited for him to be gone. Their alliance celebrates. The other alliance is shook, especially Corey and Jay, who have taken multiple shots at Kyland and Horacio and can't get them out. Berna tells Horacio she feels for them, and Kyland snips at her, basically saying that if she felt bad, she would help them in the game, and they start fighting, with him telling Berna she's not nice and confessing that everyone thinks she's rude, and he's finally the one to tell her about herself. It doesn't really seem like Berna deserved this heat in this case. She seemed like she was trying to be empathetic, but things escalate and the fight seems to fizzle out. But remember the good old days when an argument on this show would last more than 20 seconds. Later, Berna opens up to Emmanuel about her mom being sick and her not being able to communicate with her mother, and Emmanuel gets emotional too. Emmanuel is inspired to call his mom, who is living her best life, out fishing. They head to the daily challenge called End of the Line, where they have to rappel down from a tower and stop their rappelling before hitting the water. Whoever gets further down the fastest wins. If multiple people hit the water, the person who hit the water the slowest loses and is purged. This challenge seemed pretty fair in that anyone could win it. Also, there were a few ways that you can go about it, with different strategies you could take to not get purged, either by going down further than somebody else or hitting the water faster than somebody else who fell before you. James, Mariah, and Horacio are first. James falls down early and Horacio gets pretty far down. Mariah stays on enough to save herself, but in the process, Horacio and James seem to both burn their hands on the rope. Michelle, Emmanuel, and Kyland are next. Emmanuel spanks his tush to taunt the group. At this point, all they have to do is not fall to be safe, and they all get pretty close to the bottom at their own pace. Nerys, Jay, and Ed are next. Jay has an advantage being a rock climber, and he gets to the bottom. Nerys eventually does too, and Ed ends up falling after trying when he didn't even have to because Jay had already beat him. Colleen and Olivia are next, and they both complete it, with Corey and Berna being last. Corey ends up falling, and Berna does a trick. Getting to the results, TJ announces that the purged player is Ed, so we have to say farewell to Ed, who brags about his social game and never having gone to elimination this season. Personally, I think Ed has had a really boring run this season. He had some funny moments here and there, like Big T trying to bribe him. I'm sure to the other players he's a hoot, but I know I'm gonna completely forget that he was ever on this season. Also, he brags about his social game, but I feel like he made some really boneheaded mistakes throughout this run, most notably winning the challenge last week and just doing everyone else's bidding for them. Also, making the decision to continue to try to win the challenge when Jay had already finished, resulting in him being purged from the entire game. I wasn't really excited for him to be on this season, and I've seen enough. As he walks away, Olivia says Karma's a bitch, which I think is a bit brutal, and that's coming from me. I just roasted his game, but I don't think this elimination was karma. The top two in the challenge are Jay and Horacio, and TJ really lays on thick that they were separated by seconds, and the winner ends up being Jay. Back at the house, Kyland and Horacio want to find a way to protect Olivia and Nerys from going into elimination with them. Michelle, Olivia, and Nerys seem to be working together in this round, and they ask Jay his thoughts. Jay wants to save Emmanuel first, and Michelle calls Jay an asshole in confessional for not putting her first. The girls propose an alliance with Jay, but he says it's out of his hands. What's that supposed to mean? He literally has all of the power in this moment. They're going to the club, and they play BB Rexa and David Guetta. They proceed to have a seemingly terrible time doing a Broadway kick line and then getting right into game talk at the club. These people never have any fun. Berna campaigns to Jay to save Colleen. They call Michelle over, but Michelle is not down because she's trying to drag 15 people to the final. In a one-on-one, Michelle is pissed at Jay because he wants to send Olivia into elimination. Michelle can't get Jay to see her point of view and gets emotional and confessional about it. Back at the house, there's more gaming, more confessionals explaining how the picking will work. Jay gets frustrated holding up his pad like a little baby and then telling Michelle she can have it her way. Then Michelle gets frustrated with her pink little pad. Mariah gets agitated with Michelle for putting James at risk. Privately, Nerys tells Michelle and Olivia that she wants to fall on the sword for Kyland and Horacio, and Olivia talks Nerys out of quitting. Nerys reminds us again that her brother told her that Olivia said she was broke, which has never mattered or been proven true yet. She says, even though Olivia called me me broke, I have her back. In the picking, Jay begrudgingly picks Michelle first. TJ calls him and Michelle out for looking miserable during this. The dramatics here are too much. Michelle saves Olivia, who then saves Mariah, which is shocking, and even Horacio feels backstabbed. They flash back to Olivia cutting a last-minute deal to save herself and do this. Nerys confesses she should have listened to her brother. Maybe Olivia did say she was broke. The picking goes Mariah, then James, Emmanuel, Berna, Colleen, and Corey. Leaving Nerys, Horacio, and Kyland in the elimination, they start popping off at each other. Berna and Nerys have words. Even TJ feels for Nerys in this moment, as she's been backstabbed by Olivia after saving her last week. Horacio gets emotional to Nerys in the bedroom. Jay comes in playing innocent nice guy, and he gets emotional. Everyone is crying. Kyland confronts Olivia, and Olivia and Nerys meet in private. Nerys finally brings up that her brother said not to trust her, and she still trusted her, so they end up heading to elimination. The odds are stacked against Nerys. Hopefully there isn't a 10-foot wall she has to climb. TJ tells them that this time 2 players will be going home, which I found to be brutal. It's pretty much the same setup as last time, but with some different obstacles and different puzzles. Looks like they put some footholds in the giant wall to climb, which makes it a bit more fair. They take off and round the corner to see boxes they have to jump over. Nerys sees the obstacle and is like, what the F? As a viewer, you're definitely feeling for Nerys here. They get to the puzzles, and these puzzles are a tanagram, counting chains, and the Michelle Fitzgerald honorary stacking challenge. Nerys does her chains while the guys do their tanagram and gets a huge lead. Then she does her tanagram before any of them do as well. The elimination comes down to Nerys and Horacio, and it's hard to watch the challenge without feeling like either of them are trying to let the other win, as they're both struggling with their final puzzle stations. Nerys ends up winning her station and triumphantly winning the elimination in one of the most incredible upsets I've ever seen on this show, eliminating Kyland and Horacio, 2 powerhouses in the game, and she walks back to the house triumphantly and alone, saying she was falling in love with Horacio, and she's back with a vengeance against Olivia. Firstly, we say goodbye to Kyland, who I think had his best run of all of his shows on this season, ending up in a rootable underdog position, winning a few really tough eliminations against champions. Not only is he a great competitor, but he brings a lot to the show in terms of being unafraid to have drama. He had multiple fights, often about minute things. He also got some great personal content with him talking about the communities that he represents, as well as his relationship with Melissa, which was interesting and seems like a storyline that's not complete yet. So I feel like he brings a lot to the show right now, and definitely is going to be invited back for multiple seasons. Speaking of invitations, we also say goodbye to Horacio, who obviously has a permanent invitation to return to the challenge forever. He's the golden child. MTV finds him very marketable. He's the center of all the promotional materials. Last season was the story of him being a great competitor and being loyal to Olivia. This season, he gets a better storyline with his relationship with Nerys and him being loyal to his allies throughout. Early in the season, he's pretty much just being a pushover, letting the game happen around him, but I think Nerys really encouraged him to get out of his shell. He's obviously a super nice guy, but I think things happening like Olivia blindsiding him and Nerys, he and his allies being in an inescapable situation where they're in the minority in the house, really should teach him a lesson for next time about being more active in the game and not getting walked all over. But I love Horacio. I'd be super surprised not to see him on season 40. I'm really surprised that he's eliminated. That was rough to watch, so I'm gonna take a breather. This was a great episode, but that's all I have to say about it for now. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the episode? Who do you want to win this season? Also, if you like the video, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week to talk about more challenge. Have a nice week. Bye!